Hey guys, so in today's video, we're gonna talk about something that I want you to make sure you don't do to start your downswing, something I've been doing with a lot of my in-person coaching sessions recently. There's two moves you need to do to start your downswing to help get you that consistent swing and contact we're looking for. Now, before we dive in, we are gonna open some in-person coaching spots down here in South Florida over the next couple of months. If you want to come see me for in-person coaching, we'll put a Calendly link down in the description down below. If you can't make it for in-person coaching, would love to work with you online through CogornoGolf.com. That's where you can send in your swing videos. Listen, so long as you can record yourself on a phone and send them in, we're going to return you a specific personalized practice plan within 48 hours, exactly what your main focus should be, what drills to do, practice plan to follow, and it's literally like $2 a day to get that sort of plan. So we'll put that CogornoGolf.com down below as well. So listen, to start your downswing from the down the line view, there's really two important things that you must do to get a consistent swing to hit the ball well. Number one, and you'll see some images on the screen here. Number one is we want to make sure that the shaft, relative to the angle that it starts on, is going to shallow some amount. Shallowing means the angle of the shaft is going to get some amount flatter or more horizontal. The second thing we want to make sure we do is the club face angle that we have is going to be closing as we start down relative to the angle that we had at the top. Those are really the two things that if you look across the board of just about every good ball striker, shallowing the angle and closing the club face. Now, this video is based on a recent lesson that I gave with a player who was doing the exact opposite of it, and I see it all the time, both online and in person. And I want to go over two specific drills and feels to fix that. But the move that you need to, or the mistake you need to avoid, are doing the opposite of those two things. If good is shallowing the shaft and closing the club face, what bad would be then would be the opposite of both of those. So if we look at the top of the backswing, if shallowing would be good and flattening it, bad would then be what? Steepening the shaft to start down, right? More vertical. If good would be closing the club face, bad would be opening the club face. And this is what the gentleman was doing that I was working with when he started his downswing. And this is the mistake you have got to avoid, is when you start down, getting the shaft more vertical in transition. So kind of at this left arm parallel position, you know, the shaft is almost straight up and down, pointed towards your toe line. I see that a lot. And the club face is too open, meaning the toe is too far behind the heel. What the best ball strikers do is the shaft angle gets much more horizontal. Butt of the club points outside the ball line. Shaft is kind of through my mid bicep, and I'm twisting the toe in front of the heel. Okay, so that's the movement pattern that we want to avoid, and how you fix that, like anything, is by doing the opposite of your issue and exaggerating. Okay, so there's two really good drills. We're gonna pull the first one in a moment that I want you to start with, so you can learn how to shallow the club and close the club face sooner to start the downswing. Okay, drill number one involves a plate. This is the first thing we were practicing indoors. We had paper plates in here, but I brought a normal one from home. I think you can feel this one better, and this is going to help you feel the wrist motion. So when I take my normal setup here, I'm going to put the right palm on the front part of the plate and the back palm on the back part of the plate. Now, this isn't quite how you would grip a club, but just for the sake of getting the sensations here, I took the gentleman I was working with and we went up to the top of the backswing. And first, always, I like you to make sure you feel what the air is. So the air here would be the steepening of the shaft. Now notice when I steepen the shaft, if I did that with a golf club, my left glove logo points towards me or the target, which puts my left wrist very cupped. My right palm and right hand and wrist get very flat. And even as I start to work down, they would point up towards the sky. Now where we want, we'll put some of these swing models on, is really for your left wrist to stay pretty darn flat and be pretty darn flat. When we get into delivery, you can see Adam Scott and Grant, two of the best swings. Left wrist is very flat, right wrist is bent back, and they're both pointed away from him. Now to get to that in transition, they have a very slight movement of shallowing. If steepening is the left wrist cupping, right wrist flattening, pointed towards me, then shallowing would be the opposite. Glove logo towards the camera, right palm towards the camera. So I'm bowing my left wrist. I'm bending my right wrist back. See how when I do that, that gets the club working more behind me. Now, if I keep my back of my hand and my right palm pointing towards the camera, not up towards the sky, that's also going to help keep the toe in front of the heel. Now, if you are someone like the gentleman who has this motion, this is your normal, you don't even realize you're doing it, it feels normal, just to get to flat, you have to feel very far the other way. So very bowed with the wrist, very bent back with the right wrist. You have got to feel that much just to get to normal. So I brought the plate out, right? And if you put this in your hands like we had, when you go up to the top, it's a really good feel when you start your downswing from about the top to let's call it hip high. I'm feeling like I'm taking my glove logo and my right palm and pointing them towards the camera behind me. So my left wrist is bowing, my right wrist is bending back, and they're pointed behind me. So I had him do a couple reps. You're doing that immediately to start your downswing. And then from there to get to the ball, I want to get the glove logo towards the target, right palm towards the target. So at impact, my right wrist is still bent back, my left wrist is flat. And then I can let that gradually go past impact, but we were really focusing in transition. So grab a plate, up top, away from you. Up top, away from you. That's too much, right? Okay, that's like over exaggerated. But the point is, if I do and feel that same motion with a club in my hand, I'm gonna feel like it goes this way. That's too far behind me. That's too far shallow, right, inside. But if I'm normally here and I feel here, I'm gonna probably end up about here in a full swing, which is exactly where we want, and that's the point. So drill number one we did was the plate drill. The second drill, the Old Faithful, we'll talk about in a moment. Okay, drill number two, if you watch the channel at all, you knew this one was coming. This is the hanger. Now, if you don't have the actual hanger, you can just use like a plastic hanger at home. For this, it doesn't work quite as good. I would get the actual hanger. I use this a ton in my in-person lessons. Probably the training that I use the most. And we'll put that info in the description down below. But the hanger here, after we did a couple plate drills, the gentleman got the feel. You get the feel for the club shallowing, the club face closing. The hanger is the other way to do it. I like to set the hanger up just inside my right forearm. Let's just say at the top it gets on flat. It's gonna depend a little bit on your grip, but let's just say it's flat. Then in transition, the goal is to really press the hanger against the forearm. So this piece right here, if I did it the bad way, it would come off my wrist. This would create space, logo towards me. If I did it correctly, push the logo more away from me, shallows the shaft, squares the face, this pushes on it. And it doesn't matter whether you feel it with your left hand or if you feel it with your right hand. Either one of those is fine. But that would be pressing up against the left wrist, and I would take that all the way into impact. So plate drill's a good one. Try a plastic hanger at home is a good one. On your wrist at the top, press into it in transition. Same feels with the left and right wrist. And then we want to take those feels and put them into our normal swing. All right, guys, so listen, if you want to grab a hanger at home, they're inexpensive. They work really, really good. I use this with my own swing. Literally took like a club of dynamic loft off. I use this with this gentleman in this lesson, and I use it in a lot of my lessons. I promise you're going to like this. We'll put a link in the description. It'll say hanger, have a link and a coupon code. You'll get a little bit of money off. Use that coupon code. Highly recommend that you put this in there. If you guys did like this video, do us a favor, click that like button. Really helps our channel out. Click the subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below. Always like talking to you guys in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching.